I now have the distinct privilege of introducing the chair of Cardigan's Board of Trustees, Mr. Hank Holland. Mr. Holland has served on Cardigan's board since 2010. Hank is the father of Hayden, currently a student at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, who graduated from Cardigan in 2012, Corbin, who graduated in 2015 and attends Episcopal School in Virginia, and Fulton, who we hope to see on the point very soon. For the first year in any head of school's tenure, the relationship between the head and the board chair must be a special one. Despite living a continent away in California and busy with his career and family, Hank is a regular visitor on the point. I have found Hank Holland to be a patient listener, wise counselor, and unflinching supporter of Cardigan Mountain School. It is with great respect that I introduce my boss. And it is with deep gratitude that I introduce my friend and mentor, Mr. Hank Holland.
Good morning. Mr. Day, thank you for the very kind introduction. It's a pleasure and an honor to work alongside the trustees, the administration, and the faculty at Cardigan. I always enjoy returning to Cardigan. It's a special treat to be here for commencement, a culminating milestone event, a celebration that marks the closing of one chapter and the starting of another. And for our boys, it's a rite of passage. Before I continue with my remarks, I'd like to acknowledge some special members of our community. Though Mr. Day already welcomed a number of them, I would feel remiss if I didn't extend my thanks. First, I'd like to take a moment, though they were unable to join us today, to acknowledge the remarkable lifetime of service of Bev and Norm Wakely, the much beloved former head of school. Norm passed away earlier this year. And as Chris mentioned, Cardigan will host an event tomorrow to celebrate his life and his dedication to enriching the lives of our boys. Bev hopefully will hear this and know that we love you, we love your family, and we're so appreciative for all that you and Norm did over the years. Next, Dave and Steph McCusker. Welcome home. We miss your presence and we think of you often. Your promise of getting to know our boys and to loving our boys is your enduring legacy. It's good to see you. Moving on, it's always a privilege to be at Cardigan, and it's a particular privilege to speak again at commencement. But it's a humbling honor to share the dais with Chief Justice John Roberts. Excuse me. I've enjoyed getting acquainted with John, Jane, and Jack. We're fortunate to have them as part of our community, and we're indebted to him for so ably serving our country. Thank you. As we culminate Chris's first year of head of school, I'd like to thank Chris and Cynthia. Though I haven't had a chance to spend as much time with Phoebe, Charlie and Henry were at Cardigan with my sons Hayden and Corbin. They're incredible young men. The Days are an incredible family, and we're fortunate to have Chris at the helm. And finally, would all the faculty please stand and remain standing? These are the remarkable men and women who are the essence of Cardigan. They've committed to share their lives 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with our boys. They've taught, coached, and mentored our boys in the classroom, on the field, at mealtime, and in the dorms. Each time that I return to campus, I'm inspired by your capacity to care, and for you taking the time and making the effort to get to know our boys and to love our boys. Thank you for all that you did. And of particular note, last year we celebrated Mr. Ramos spending his 40th year at Cardigan, and this year we had the privilege of celebrating Mr. Wimhart's 40th anniversary. As I reflected on my message to our graduating boys, I reflected on the occasional letters that I've written to my sons. Letters that were written at seminal times of my life, of their life, or at various points of history of our country. As a parent, our love is pure, our motives are simple, and our faith is unwavering. Though my boys have stumbled, made mistakes, and fallen short, I've always tried to be there with love, understanding, and support. Not without stern rebuke, but with absolute, unconditional love. My oldest son, Hayden, left Cardigan and returned home to Marin Catholic High School. As is tradition, he attended a Kairos retreat his senior year. As part of the experience, significant people in his life, family, friends, coaches, teachers, were invited to write letters that would be shared with him on the retreat. In my letter, I shared the many things that I admired about him, the many proud moments, and I shared these hopes with Hayden, and I have the same hopes for our boys. I wrote, I have so many wishes, hopes, and dreams for you. Amongst them, I hope you'll be mindful of your good fortune and opportunities in life. Walk through life with a spirit of gratitude, of humbleness. Be a gentle man. You've been given a strong, likable, admirable personality. I hope that you will lead with a quiet confidence. Ever be mindful of your actions and their consequence. You have an incredible capacity to care for others, to empathize, to show compassion. I hope that you will show up for family, for friends, and for those who have perhaps been forgotten. One of your greatest strengths is your enthusiasm for life. I hope that you will direct your enthusiasm and passion towards purposeful pursuits. For I believe that a lifetime pursuit of purpose gives life meaning. And I believe through living a life of meaning, we find happiness and contentment. I love American history. In preparing my remarks, I read dozens of historical letters from great Americans to their children. Some were grounded in pragmatic lessons. John D. Rockefeller Jr., the son of the founder of Standard Oil and his vast fortune, in 1920 wrote a letter to his 14-year-old grandson. Regarding allowance, he wrote, allowance will be set at $1.50 per week. If you perform your chores and are responsible with money, the weekly allowance will be increased by 10 cents per week, but not to exceed $2. If you neglect your responsibilities, your allowance will be docked by 10 cents a week. 20% of your allowance is to be used for benevolence, charity. 20% of your allowance is to be saved. By the way, adjusted for inflation, that allowance today would be $30 per week. F. Scott Fitzgerald in 1933 wrote a letter to his 12-year-old daughter while she was away at camp. As an aside, though we remember F. Scott Fitzgerald as an American icon and literary genius, his books, including The Great Gatsby, were both critical and financial disappointments. He wrote to his daughter, I am glad that you are happy, but I never believed much in happiness. I never believed much in misery either. All I believe is that life rewards virtue. Similar to my thoughts of living a life of purpose. He goes on to list things to worry about and those things not to worry about. Worry about courage. Worry about doing the next right thing. Don't worry about popular opinion. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about growing up. Don't worry about failures. Don't worry about disappointments. And now for the moms in the audience, perhaps the most poignant advice, a letter from Abigail Adams to her son, John Quincy Adams, before he died on the sofa. In 1779, John Quincy Adams voyaged across the Atlantic with his 9-year-old and 12-year-old sons. America was fighting the War of Independence, and John Adams had been asked to serve as our minister in France. The trip was treacherous, and the ship almost sank. Moreover, had the ship been captured by the British, surely he and his sons would have been imprisoned. Abigail writes, "These are times in which a genius would wish to live. It is not in the still calm of life that great characters are formed. The habits of a vigorous mind are formed in contending with difficulties. This, I believe, is why Cardigan is so important, why our mission and our values are so important and so relevant today, why the formative middle school years are so important. I hope that each of you feel that we, the Cardigan community, have gotten to know you. And I hope that each of you feel that we, the Cardigan community, have loved you. At the same time, I hope that each of you has struggled at times. I hope that each of you has experienced disappointment. I hope that each of you has failed, fallen short, because it's through these experiences we find our true north. We find a strength and a resilience that we heretofore were unaware of. We learn to do the next thing, even when no one is watching. We learn to be truthful and to have courage. Through these times, each of us develop our values, our compass. Your parents have made tireless efforts to instill their values, and the Cardigan community has modeled compassion, integrity, respect, and courage. But you will define and continually refine the most important asset you will ever have, your character. Cardigan class of 2017, congratulations. You're an amazing group of young men, and I know that you will go on to do great things. I'm certain that you will leave the point, embark on a new and exciting chapter in your life. Remember us. Remember your Cardigan brothers. Stay connected. And as Coach Marion would say, help the other fella. We're very proud of you, and we'll always be cheering for you. And now I believe it's time for diplomas. Thank you.